do it. Okay, everyone, welcome to our YouTube Live. I'm sure that we're going to have lots of people joining us. Usually our V1 Sports family shows up and we have a lot of fun chatting during these educational webinars that we've been doing. This is our first YouTube Live webinar, so thanks for hanging in there. And if we have any hiccups, just hang in there with us because it's a learning experience for us too. The purpose of our webinar today is to show the golf student how to use the V1 pressure mat to capture data, share it with your teaching professional in order to get better. That's it. The pressure mat is here to help golfers get better. And as a student, you can send that information to your instructor. As an instructor, you can send that back to your student, and this technology helps you get better. Did you guys know that everything you do in your golf swing is reflected in the ground? Some of our pressure mat experts will tell you that all day long, and they know exactly what to tell you about that data to get your swing better. So in the next hour, we're going to be learning about how the golf student can use this technology to improve your golf swing. It's very easy. At the end of the webinar, we're going to have a really cool giveaway. We're going to give away a free year of V1 Pro software and an iPad tripod. My social media teammate Haley is watching the comments and the questions over on the YouTube channel. And please share your comments, your questions, your favorite thing about the V1 pressure mat. We're going to pick a couple winners at the end of the webinar. And the reason that we're giving away these particular tools is with the pressure mat, all you need is software and an iPad in order to go to the range, capture data, and send it to your instructor to help you swing immensely. So before we get into that cool data, let me introduce who we've got joining us today. I am Mandy. I'm the Southeast Regional Sales Manager for V1 Sports. I'm based in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. I really love my job. I love taking care of golf instructors every day. I love all the friends that I've made along the way. However, I am a beginner golfer, true and true. I am learning the game. So what you're going to see today is absolutely beginner golf. My teammate is not a beginner golfer. He's joining us today. Derek, I'll let you do a little introduction of yourself, please.
Thanks, Mandy. My name is Derek Mousseau, and I'm the Regional Sales Manager for V1 Sports. Excited to be helping today. I've worked in the golf industry for almost 15 years, former golf instructor, former PGA professional, so very familiar with the key metrics of the golf swing and helping students improve, and more importantly, helping instructors help their students improve. So look forward to this great educational content today, and send it back to Mandy.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. A few other people I always like to shout out to on our webinars are our customer success team. Their name is chosen for a reason. Jackson and will very much make you a success. If you're a student or an instructor, you can call them for anything and everything. They are here to help you. Do not hesitate to reach out to the guys. They are smart. They are fun. They will take good care of you. And I love them very much. Customer-success at v1sports.com is how to reach them. I highly suggest you connect with them. Most importantly today, our guest is PGA fellow professional Richard Hughes. He is the head professional and owner of the Golf Center in Leicestershire in the middle of England. I hope I said that right, Richard. Leicestershire in the middle of England. It is a premier 20-bay driving range and dedicated coaching center. For the last 15 years, Richard has coached golfers of all abilities, from completely raw novices to elite amateurs and professionals. Richard has by far the best technology in the area, including V1 high-speed video, body track pressure mats, launch monitors, and multiple 3D systems. Richard has a passion for passing his knowledge to other coaches and puts on tons of seminars about technology. Please reach out to Richard on his Instagram and Twitter accounts if you have not already. We bring Richard to the PGA show with us every year, and he helps teach some of our seminars. He has a wealth of knowledge. He is one of our partners and friends. I'm trusting that he will go easy today on me because we are all about to hear about my very beginner golf swing. And just a little bit about V1 Sports for anyone tuning in that does not know about the history of our company. V1 is a 25-year-old company that focuses on delivering video analysis and instruction solutions to golfers and golf instructors around the world. In addition to our software, we provide hardware solutions including high-speed cameras and computers, and of course the V1 pressure mat powered by BodyTrack. The V1 pressure mat is the world's most powerful and portable solution to measure pressure, velocity, and dynamic force throughout the golf swing. Our pressure mat integrates seamlessly with our software to provide immediate data and video feedback. As we go through our presentation today, we have an agenda. I'll review it really quickly so you'll know what to expect. Can everyone see my screen? Did I share my screen correctly?
Perfect.
Yep, okay. Let me get my agenda. Sorry, guys. Okay. So we talked about the purpose of the webinar. I introduced myself, Derek introduced himself, and we learned a little bit about Richard Hughes. We're reviewing the agenda now. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how the student would use the pressure mat at home. And then I'm going to show you my swing. And I sent my swing a couple days ago to Richard through the V1 app. So that's how I got my swing over to Richard. And then what does the student do with the data? So after Richard read it, he's going to give me some information and I'm going to go work on that. So we're going to learn about what he thinks I should work on. We'll have a section for questions. We're going to let Richard review some pressure mat concepts with us. We will learn a lot in that section. And then we're going to do our giveaway. We will let you know who to contact, and then we'll talk about the awesome pressure mat discount that we're going to be offering this today. Okay, so let me get back to my script here. Okay. So, you know, the basic question is, how does a student use the V1 pressure mat at home? So Richard, can you answer that, just that basic question? If I'm a student, how would I use it at home?
So you're obviously going to show a video in a moment of how easy it is to set up and hit some swings. For the student to use at home, the student will be able to utilize the biofeedback from the mat to the iPad or the screen. So they're going to be able to make some swings, and they're going to be able to use immediate feedback as to how they have pushed on the floor. And hopefully throughout this session, both the student and the golf coach will see the importance of knowing some of that information and how it can help them to hit the ball better and play better golf.
Awesome. I agree. So let me show a little video that I put together of myself. So let's just watch this really quickly. So Richard, we're going to analyze my swing and not the swing of Otto doing the Happy Gilmore, right?
Okay. Analyze anything you want.
We had to leave Otto in there. That's my son Otto and his cameo Happy Gilmore at the end of the video. And if there's time at the end of our webinar, we'll play it again so everyone can see Otto. So just from that video, I want everyone to understand, as a golf student, all that you need is a place to hit balls, something to hold your device, whether that be an iPhone or an iPad, and that could be a tripod, that could be an alignment stick, and then software to capture your video, and in this case, a pressure mat. So I took my iPad with a tripod, I took my pressure mat to Charleston National, and that's all I needed. I filmed multiple swings. I'm a beginner golfer. I don't totally understand what the trace is telling me. However, I just used my V1 app and I sent it through to Richard, and I don't know what he's going to tell me in my lesson, but we're about to hear about that. So I'm going to just turn it over to Richard, and we're going to watch him analyze my swing. I'm super excited.
Thanks, Mandy. Why I share my screen, do you want to tell people watching in a little bit about the background, your golfing background?
Sure. So I've been in golf for like 5 years. I've traveled all over the world. I've met a lot of people that have given me some swing pointers. I have never had a traditional golf lesson. However, I have played multiple 18 rounds. I did play 18 rounds at TPC Sawgrass, which is interesting that as a beginner golfer, I was able to pull that off. But yeah, I've never had a traditional lesson. I just have had a lot of experience taking swing pointers from folks. So that's my beginner golf experience.
Awesome. So when you're hitting these golf balls, Mandy, are you thinking about anything when you swing the golf club, or
I'm only thinking about, I had, Jake Thurm told me that I was my back was in a C shape. So I'm sort of trying to think about just keeping my body tucked together, but I don't have many other swing thoughts now.
Okay, cool. And when you sent this swing through to me, particularly this one on the bottom, which is an iron swing, the first thing you said was that you hate where the ball goes. So the ball comes off and goes
right
out to the right.
Yep.
And that was the first thing that you said to me.
Yep.
Is that normal?
Yeah.
For the ball to go to the right?
They all go to the right. Yeah.
They all go to the right.
Yeah. Club face, right?
Yeah. So the club face will be open when or pointing at the golf ball. But you've got a good swing. You've got a really good swing. I think what's important for all the golf coaches that are watching, I've done education like this around the world. When we're looking at these swings, if there's 50 golf coaches listening in, there'll be 50 golf coaches that will all have a different opinion and a different way that they would go about helping you. And that's really, really cool that we would all do it slightly differently. So tools such as video or pressure mats, they're really just a blank canvas for a golf coach to utilize in a skilled way to help the student. So it's totally okay that we would all analyze this swing in a different way. We'd all take a different approach to how to go about it. But I'm happy to share my thoughts on your swing.
Cool.
And I'm happy to take any questions from anybody listening in as well as we go along. So let's look at the image on the top, the swing on the top. This is a driver swing. The right foot, for anybody that's not familiar, the right foot is the foot on the right of that image. Okay, so the foot that we're looking at on the right, that is the right foot. The foot we're looking at on the left is the left foot. It's the opposite way around to the video. Have I explained that okay, Mandy?
Yes, you have. That's super important.
Obviously, I know you're familiar with that, but for anybody looking in that's not familiar, I just wanted to explain the orientation. It's the same on the bottom as well. The white dot in the middle of those 2 feet, that's the center of pressure. So that's an average location of where the pressure is pushing down on the floor. When I analyze swings, what's important for me is the flow of pressure or the flow of motion rather than the exact numbers. So I'm interested in patterns, and I think as people are watching, you will see a pattern as to how your pressure moves between the bottom image, which is an iron swing, and the top image, which is a driver. And I think you'll see a pattern to the movement, and that's more important to me than exact values. You've got a good swing, Mandy.
Thank you, Richard.
You've got a great swing.
Thank you.
A great swing. Now,
There's hope.
Okay, good. Thank you, Derek.
Yeah, there's some hope. Now, for me, so we know we need to try and control the club face. We know that your club face is going to be a little bit open when you hit the ball, because you said that more often than not the ball would go to the right. So we know that. Okay. Your swing is a little bit long.
Right.
So the club swings a little bit long around the top of the swing. So the length of the swing, the length that the club travels. Okay, so we might want to make this a little bit shorter, which would potentially help you to control the club face. But regarding pressure, you will see, Mandy, on the backswing, that the white center of pressure doesn't move very much toward your right foot. Okay, so you're quite advanced in your backswing here, and the pressure has not moved a huge amount to the right foot. Okay, now, because you've not moved a huge amount to the right foot, you actually don't have you're not able to push very well in the downswing to make your forward swing. Okay, so what you'll actually see is around the top of the swing, when you decide that you want to start changing direction to swing the club forward, watch how your pressure goes to your right foot now. Okay, so it doesn't go to the right foot early in the swing. It goes to the right foot late in the backswing. Have I explained that okay?
You have.
So the first thing I would be exploring is moving the pressure earlier to the right foot and earlier to your left foot. And I think that would help you to shorten your golf swing.
Okay.
And improve the sequencing of your golf swing.
Okay.
You will see a similar pattern here on the bottom. So the pressure moves to your right foot as you change the direction of your swing.
Yep. And you want me to do that earlier?
I would like you to have more pressure to your right foot earlier.
Okay.
So that you can move to your left foot sooner.
Okay. All right.
Here's a little swing I prepared for you about 30 minutes ago. Live from the studio. I've done a couple of examples of it for you.
Oh, cool. Okay, great.
Okay, so the first example, I'm not using a golf club. So you can do this anywhere. You can roll out your mat when we finish in your office at home, and you can start to improve your sequencing. So notice how, as I swing back, I move a little bit more pressure to my right foot early.
Yep.
And then I change the direction of that pressure earlier.
I can so see that in your pressure mat, because I love the pressure mat graph. The other two graphs I don't understand, but you have way more red / pressure in your feet than I did in my swing. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Can you see how this is more dynamic in a right to left direction? So right, left.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, note what that does to my arm. It helps me to change the direction of my golf swing.
So now all my balls are going to go left?
No. No, your golf ball. No, your golf ball could still go anywhere.
Okay.
But can you see how we could shorten your golf swing a little bit?
Yes, absolutely.
With that slightly different change of direction.
I love that I can do this little drill just without even a club.
Yeah.
work
Yeah,
on
and
balance.
hopefully this motion will look like some other sports or some other actions. So some other kind of throwing actions or skimming actions. You know, that'd look pretty similar. I did do you another one, so you could advance that with a golf club. Again, you're not going to need much space for this. I've got a golf club turned round so that the grip is toward the bottom. You could use a little stick, or for golf coaches that have got speed sticks, we can start to add a bit of a golf club into this. And we could just start to get you a basic motion from right to left. Have I explained that okay, Mandy?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, the reason I asked what your thoughts are when you're swinging this club is I see this kind of pattern quite often with new golfers, because a new golfer is trying to coordinate the hit on the golf ball. So really concentrating on trying to hit the ball. And to do that, often they tell me they're trying to stay really still. Try and stay really steady over the golf ball and really still. Keep the head still. They're scared to move around too much because it's going to be hard to coordinate the shot. And that's why I wondered what your concepts were, because that's kind of what you look like to me here, that you're trying to stay very, very still.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore that pressure doesn't move right to left very well. Let's get that compared. To this one.
You guys, we see your comments and I'm going to get to them in just a second. Thank you. Please keep sending them.
So here's your move away. And here's a little bit of an idea for you.
Yeah, okay. So are you going to send me that side by side?
Yeah, I'll send you this later
Awesome.
on.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
So can you see how much longer this swing is?
Yes. I sure can. Okay.
So that would be the first kind of the first things I would explore. You could also add some form of step drill. Let's pull up a step drill of some description. This is a golf pro demonstrating a little step drill. So
okay.
Feet together, take a step to the right, swing the club, step to the left, and swing the club and hit the ball. And hopefully you'll see the same kind of motion with how the pressure moves from right to left, right to left.
Got it.
Now, this would scare a lot of new players, because a lot of new players and beginners are trying to stay very still. But I've had great success with these kind of moves with new golfers.
That step drill.
Do you think that's something that?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Something you?
Because it kind of forces you to move your pressure sooner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the sequence is.
Well, you know,
the sequence is excellent.
I grew up dancing ballet, so I can totally learn that.
Okay, that's really cool. So you can see you kind of don't do this at the moment.
Yep, I can see that. So, Richard, why does my yellow line look so crazy?
Because you're American.
Okay.
So the yellow line's not so crazy.
Okay.
Let's The yellow line is the journey of the pressure in your golf swing, or the pressure trace.
Okay.
So the white dot will follow that yellow line. That's where the white dot has gone, and that's not so crazy at all. As we know, you don't put much pressure to the right foot early in the backswing, but you do get to the right foot eventually, like so. And then here, the white dot is more towards your toes than when it started. So your balance is more towards your toes. That is very common, that golfers have their pressure more toward the toes.
Okay.
But to be honest, Mandy, I wouldn't be worrying about any of that at the moment. I'd just be trying to improve the right to left sequence first.
Okay. All right. That's easy.
And then, yeah, and then we could see where that would take you. But this is not so crazy. You've got some excellent stuff going on. Very good.
Cool. So I have a great question from this video from Mark Day. And I know there's other questions that came sooner, but I want you to answer this one looking at this graph. He says, he says, how do you use the other charts that I don't understand to help students? So I'm sure he's talking about the ground force and the velocity. What do you say to students? Because obviously this map, this graph means a lot to me. What do you use those others for?
So, Mark, I can't get into those two graphs on Mandy's video because of how she sent me the video. I've not actually got the organic copy. It's just the video that Mandy has sent me, so I can't access those two graphs. But I can absolutely access the two graphs in here, because I have the organic image. Okay, so just for everybody watching, we've got the center of pressure. So the average location of the pressure on the floor during the golf swing. Here we've got velocity. This is the speed that we are moving in a lateral or linear direction away from the target or toward the target. So when I say speed, the speed that our pressure moves right to left, obviously not club speed. So let's do this first one. When that white line spikes there, that's the fastest I'm moving from my right foot to my left foot in a lateral direction toward the target there. And that is measured at 200 centimeters per second. When I'm talking to students, I will never, ever say centimeters per second. I will just say 200. If I can get somebody to move at, let's say, 300, they're moving faster in a linear direction toward the target. There is definitely a link between that velocity and club head speed.
Huh, okay.
So what you will see when that white line peaks there, that will be the fastest that I am moving my pressure to the lead side. So I think the question from Mark was, how do I help students? We can time that speed appropriately for club speed. Lots of people are doing that too late or too early. Timing of that speed is important, and the magnitude or amount of speed is important. The next one is vertical pressure. So this gives an indication of the downward forces onto the sensors on the mat. You've got individual feet. and we've also got the total feet. Excuse me, not the total feet, the total amount of force. A pressure mat will give us a starting value of 1. So when I'm standing on that mat now, I'm applying some force to the mat. So they give us a starting value of 1. So if I apply more than 1 there, that's 1.27, I'm applying basically 30% more downward force onto the sensor than what I was when I started. Again, the timing of that downward force is important, and the amount of force can be important, but not all players are getting their forces from verticals. It can also help you to understand when more rotation starts to happen. So the rotations will start to happen after that peak force there.
Nice. So that's
you start to see how as that force dissipates, that's when I put in maximum force onto the sensors. And as that force dissipates, you'll start to see rotational values. Excuse me, talking in 3D. You'll start to talk rotation. You'll start to see rotation happen. But I would use that information appropriately and accordingly to students. Whereas the center of pressure graph, I think, is a great visual.
It is. I've got a couple more questions.
To help students.
I've got a couple more questions on that, Richard. And Mike Honor he's a beginner golfer as well. He and I were actually just chatting on LinkedIn. Great question from him. Should your center of pressure move from the back foot to the front foot as you progress through your swing? Sort of what you were just talking to me about.
So the center of pressure, so the timing of the pressure, what you'll see here is my pressure will move early to my right foot, and really well coordinated strikers of a golf ball will usually do that when the club is around parallel to the floor on the backswing. So they will have most of their pressure on the right foot when the club is around parallel to the floor on the backswing. And from there, as my backswing progresses, pressure will already be moving toward the lead foot. So I hope everybody could see the timing of that. The pressure moves early to the right foot, and the shaft is around parallel to the floor, and then it's already moving back to the lead foot before the club transitions. The pressure will then hold on the lead foot as I deliver the golf club to the ball.
Okay, perfect.
So that will also help you, Mandy, that question, that will also help you, because that's exactly what you want to be doing.
Yep.
Whereas your pressure's the other way. So it goes to the right foot as you're transitioning the golf club, not to the left foot. But it does that because you don't go to the right foot soon enough.
Yeah. Hey, Daniel Silva, I think he's from your part of the world, actually. Do you know Daniel?
No.
No? Okay. That's okay. He's asking if you're dealing with a relatively new golf student, at what point do you introduce this technology without overloading them with info?
Yeah, great question. So I think firstly, regarding any overload of information, I think that's the skill of coaching. I don't think that I don't think, because we use technology, I don't think a session needs to be complicated and technical. I can talk about a pen in a really complicated way, or I could talk about the pen in a really simple way. So I think regarding overload of information, that is the skill of the coach to give the appropriate information to the student. I think regarding when to use a technology, again, I have all of my equipment available And then during a session, I use my skill to decide if somebody would benefit from using it or not. So I don't have a definite, I would use it in the first 5 minutes of a lesson or on their first lesson. With some students, I use a mat like this on every lesson. With some students, I've never used it. Yeah, so I think it's I think it's the skill of the coach to decide that and to use equipment, any equipment and any information responsibly and appropriately.
Yeah, I agree, Richard. I think it's just from working with golf professionals, I think if you can get what you need out of the lesson in order to give the student the right information to go work on. And I loved, my team wrote a post about Jake Thurm, one of our experts on this side of the pond. And it said, Jake Thurm wants to know more about your golf swing than what you're telling him. And I loved that comment because that's exactly what the pressure mat does, right? It gives you, an instructor, information to give the student that helps make it really easy to improve your golf swing. And then, you know, as a beginner, it was so easy for me to capture that information and get it to you. So yeah, this is super helpful. And even though I used really cool technology in the form of, you know, some cool software and some really cool pressure mapping, I'm pretty clear on exactly what I need to work on at Charleston National Golf Range when I go out this afternoon. Or in the office after this webinar. I mean, I can do this with my mat and a broomstick. So
yeah, and for me, I mean, I've been using a pressure mat for 6 years. I had the very first body track mat six years ago, and before that time, I was talking to my students at every level about balance. I'm pretty sure most golf coaches will be talking to their students about balance, but I really struggled to get people to buy into it, to buy into balance, because people believe they are balanced because they're not falling over. So they believe they are balanced, and thinking about what the feet are doing is not quite as exciting as thinking about maybe what their hands and club are doing and what their arm is doing. And when I first started using a body track and actually showing people, just showing them the images, you know, I'd just play this image and just show them and say, you know, what do you think to that? And I'd soon start to get their buy-in to, okay, yeah, I need to work on how I move my feet.
Yeah.
So that's been great for me.
Yeah. And do you ever take it out on the course, Richard, or do you take it out? Absolutely. So all of my equipment is designed to be able to leave the studio. So that's why I choose the equipment that I do, because I absolutely have to take this mat out onto the golf course. You'll see I've got it out on the grass there. It's not in my studio, it's out on the grass. We throw it in bunkers, we throw it on putting greens, we throw it on awkward lies, so uphill lies, downhill lies, side hill lies. It's really cool as well to measure what people do on the course relative to what they do in the studio. So a customer will come into the studio and they'll be hitting the ball wonderfully well. They'll be hitting the ball fabulous. And then they'll go and play some golf and I'll say, how did you get on? And they'll say, Richard, I did exactly what we're talking about, but it didn't work. Really? That can't be right. You can't be doing exactly what we're talking about. You hit the ball wonderfully. No, I do, but it doesn't work. So I can take the mat out onto the course, capture some swings when they're on the tee or on the fairway, and then we can compare what they actually do in the environment of the golf course and what they actually do in a sterile environment, and we can show them the difference, and then say, so you don't do what you do in the studio. So it's really cool to be able to do things like that. So yes. Awesome. Okay, I have another cool question from Peter G. He says, do the vertical forces through the lead leg show up in the form of a graph/data? How is that component of measurement treated? Vertical forces through the lead leg.
Could you repeat that? Could you repeat that, Mandy, for me?
And Keith Jarvis has a question too. Do the vertical forces through the lead leg show up in the form of a graph? And how is that component of measurement treated?
I'm not 100% sure on the question, but I'll have a stab. The graph is the vertical graph is the one that I showed you. So let's get that back up on the screen. So apologies, Mandy, I'm not 100% sure on the question, but here's the verticals. Here's the verticals graph. Okay. So you've got total force, which is the orange, and then lead foot, which is the blue, and yellow, which is the trail. But happy to reach out to that gentleman and have a discussion after the session. On that question.
Please reach out to Richard for further detail on that.
Yeah.
And, Richard, Keith Jarvis, my good buddy from New Jersey, who's given me a little bit of a hard time in the comments, but that's okay because I love him, is asking, do you have tour data? So I know that there's great tour data in the database, but can you maybe show like an ideal trace? So that since we've been looking at mine, and I know you've worked with lots of tour players, so can you talk to like a tour, what a tour trace would look like?
Absolutely. So this swing on the screen, this is a professional golfer in my region. He won the Order of Merit in our region last year. So the best professional golfer in our region. This is on our driving range. The really cool thing about this swing is it was 2 days after he shot an 8 under par. I think that was a course record for the course. So he played 36 holes. He was 10 under for the tournament, 8 under for one round. So this swing is very good for swing banking, for anybody interested in swing banking. And this is an example of a really well-balanced, well-rounded golf swing. This player hits the ball long and straight. So I'll run you through the data. He starts kind of 50-50 with his pressure between his lead foot and his trail foot. You'll see he transfers early amounts of pressure to the trail foot in the backswing. So he's already maxed out his pressure to the backswing when the club is parallel to the floor. You'll see that the pressure starts to transition before the golf club changes direction. So the pressure is already starting to leak to the lead side. He gets pressure to the lead side early in the downward swing. And then the pressure is held on the lead side whilst the golf club is delivered to the ball. That's an excellent way to control low point. So the lowest point in the golf swing for any amateurs that are listening, to be able to get our pressure to the lead side early and then hold it there whilst we deliver the golf club. The pressure moves in a fairly linear right to left motion and actually favors the lead heel at impact. This player at the time had a really neutral swing path and a really neutral ball flight.
Cool. I have
a really cool thing to do, Mandy.
Yeah.
Is particularly when we're capturing on phones and iPads. This is the same player, but from a different angle.
You have to have
a really cool.
You gotta have a really brave photographer.
Yeah. So a really cool thing to do is play around with some different angles. We have all kinds of angles. We have low cameras, high cameras, diagonal cameras, face-on cameras, and you can really see some different a different view on the swing. Hopefully, everybody can see the pressure trace here is a similar pattern. Pressure early to the lead to the trail side, to the right foot. Pressure leaks to the lead side early. Holds on the lead side, ready for club delivery.
Nice. I don't know. I don't think my swing looks very different from that guy, Richard. I gotta say.
Would you be happy with my camera at that angle, Mandy, for you? Would that be all right for you?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I highly recommend everyone check out Richard's social media. He's got some really cool camera setups and really cool angles of some of his videos. I find them really, really awesome. Keith Jarvis is asking, do you find most good players, and Keith, not like good players, like as if I'm not, like, golly, just kidding. Do you find most good players have more pressure on the front foot at the top because they are moving pressure earlier? So front foot at the top.
Absolutely. So you'll see in this image here, pressure goes to the back foot, the trail foot, or the right foot, and then you'll see that the pressure transitions toward the lead foot and is now 87% on the lead foot, and the club is in the transition phase of moving from the backward swing to the forward swing. So absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So Richard, I think that is a really good example of, a beginner and then the tour player, and sort of the differences in how you would analyze those two swings. And I think some of the theme questions, or the theme sort of felt like it was a lot of information for the beginner. But there again, I would like to say, having sent my swing to Richard and having had him look at it with me together, and we have not talked about my swing before this webinar, I'm pretty comfortable with understanding how to stand on my mat now and work on getting my backswing shortened and my weight moving quicker in my downswing. So I don't feel like I got too much information, even though that velocity and ground force graphs seem like a lot, although Richard knows exactly what he's talking about and how to analyze those. But I hope that Richard will send me back a voiceover lesson. I'm happy to tag that onto this recording. I think it would be cool so that the audience can see what I would get back as a beginner and what the product would be. And it will probably, you'll just.
I think to be clear on that, Mandy, when we was analysing your swing, hopefully I didn't say anything about vertical force when we was analysing your swing. I think when we started looking at vertical force and velocity, it was in response to a question from Mark. So absolutely, I would not be sending you information on vertical forces and velocity, just the movement of the COP from right to left.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to really quickly, Mike Connor is leaving us. Mike, thank you for joining us today, and thank you very much for your awesome questions. And Haley is messaging me that you are one of our winners. So I'm going to announce them formally here in a minute. But Mike, will you please email sales@v1sports.com? We loved your questions. And before you leave, make sure to make a note. Keith Jarvis and Peter G are also winners. You guys all, please send me an email. Keith, I know you've got my cell phone, so you can text me. But Mike Connor, Keith Jarvis, and Peter G are our winners for the webinar. We're giving away some software and some iPad tripods. So really quickly though, Richard, we've got one more question. Is there a correlation between different pressure traces and ball flight misses?
Yes. Yes. So is there a difference between pressure traces and ball flight misses?
Or a correlation?
Yeah. So here's a swing. Here's a swing from the weekend. This is an amateur golfer, maybe about a 12 handicap. And how's the audio? I've got a bit of a storm going on behind me.
You're good. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. Can you? There's a storm. So here's a 12 handicap golfer, and you'll see he applies some nice pressure to the to the trail foot on the backswing, but in the transition, his pressure goes out into his lead toe and gets stuck out on the lead toe. I hope everybody can see that. Now his swing path on my radar, you'll see the radars in the background there. His swing path is about 6 or 7 degrees from in to out, and he hits a lot of shots to the left with a big curve because the club face closes. So his pressure goes out into the lead toe. His path's 6 or 7 degrees out to the right, and the club face flips over. So one of the things that we work on with him is trying to move his pressure a little bit more into his lead heel to change his club path. So here's a little step drill, feet are together. He steps forward, but also backward towards the back of the mat. And hopefully you'll see the difference in the direction that force is moving. And on this particular swing, his swing path was 1 degree to the left.
Yep.
So there is a correlation between impact and club delivery and pressure. And again, we didn't talk anything here on the other 2 graphs. He's never seen these 2 graphs, this player, but he does understand deeply how the motion of his ground mechanics affects his club delivery.
Yeah. So there's 2 more questions, one for me, one for you. And this is from my buddy, George Pinnell, who does have a pressure mat. He recently got a pressure mat. He teaches a lot of very, very good golfers. So he's got a top ranked junior player who has more pressure on her trail toe than on her lead at impact. What do you say about that?
Elite level junior with more pressure on the trail toe at impact.
Yes.
Without seeing the swing, I wouldn't be able to make any comment. We do see a lot of elite level juniors that have a backup in their pressure and forces for reasons such as power, how they're creating power, club fitting, their history within the game. But without seeing the swing, I wouldn't like to make any comment. But if you'd like to send the swing through, I'd love to take a look. I'd absolutely love to take a look. So I would love that.
George, please send that swing through to Richard Hughes. My girls are going to put Richard's email in the chat. I don't see it yet, but they will. And you can just send it through Richard to Richard through the V1 app. Richard, I've got one more question I'll answer. If you can end your screen share, I just want to make a couple of announcements here at the end, and then we'll see if there's any additional questions. We have one question that is really more for the V1 team. I'm super excited to answer this one. We've been working on this a long time, but we had a question from Will Shakespeare, who joined us today. He's asking about Android updates, and I'd like to publicly say that V1 has hired an Android developer. We will definitely have updates to the Android version of our software very, very soon. So we're very excited about that. In addition to just using your iPad or your iPhone, you can now use your Android phone. And so we're pleased to be able to have new team members joining so that we can update that tool as well. The girls just put Richard's email in the chat box. George, please send that video over to Richard. And then I guess in conclusion today, the point is the V1 pressure mat can teach you a ton about your golf swing. As a beginner, to send that information through to your golf coach and give them tools to give you back drills is immensely helpful. And then as a golf coach, to be able to have that data and send back a lesson is really easy. And if you guys look at I'd love to show my video again. I'm going to play that one more time. I just want to share it again because I think it's important. for everybody to see literally how quickly and easily you can go to the range and the few things that you need in order to do this. So there's my, we had to give Otto one more cameo. So I just want to let everyone know, I announced our winners, Peter G, Mike Connor, and Keith Jarvis. Please email sales@v1sports.com. Anyone that is interested in a pressure mat, Derek and I would absolutely love to answer questions. We're reducing the price of the pressure mat from $34.99 to $3,200. Derek and I's email has probably been populated over in the chat. Feel free to call us or email us. Richard is accessible on social media and his email is in there as well. Richard, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Joining me on Thursday and then rescheduling for today. Thanks for looking at my swing. Thanks for being such an amazing partner for V1 and growing the game of golf. And I hope the thunderstorms are safe over there and that you get home safely. I know it's late in the day for you. So we really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Everyone, have a good day.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Mandy.
Cheers. Bye, Derek.
Cheers.